Hello again, everybody. We have a new video talking about probably so far my most schizo rant and a nod to a good old YouTube friend here, Risky Krisky. Um, and it's probably only going to get worse before it gets worse. So, today I want to talk about a concept. And I'm going to give an anecdote about how I came up with this concept and then elaborate into basically what I'm trying to get at. So, the title of this video, The Legend of One Man. So, I'm from Illinois. I spent most of my life in Illinois. And in the northwest suburbs, OPSEC, can't tell you exactly where I used to live. And what I used to do is me and my buddies, we'd all go drinking, right? And then one day we were drinking, and we may or may not have been of age. I can't remember. Been too long ago. Um, One of us was just like, dude, what if like one man just drank all this beer? Because we used to drink like a shitload, and we were less respectful, less courteous individuals, so we may or may not have left those bottles wherever we ended up drinking. And so we began spreading the myth of one man, and we would leave little like code things, little things of evidence, so you knew like it was the same guy every time. But basically, we started the legend of one man, and it was just based off the absurd notion that one person could drink this much alcohol, and it got increasingly more and more ridiculous. And I found out later that our local high school had kind of took that up a little bit. So I've been living out of that area for a while, so I don't know if it's still a thing, but that always stayed with me as something that was, a very, very cool teenage youth thing. But now as an adult, a lot more life experience, that concept, just one man, has really kind of left an impression on me. And that's something I want to talk about today. So, this is fueled by quite a few different things going on in the world, but some people have kind of talked on this topic, and I feel like people have to be very delicate because we're using a social media form that has it has an agenda, and it only wants so much information being told, and it only wants certain people telling that information. So I wouldn't be surprised if this video gets taken down for some reason or another, especially if my channel does get, some data, some people. English is hard, but I know it's been talked about enough. Sorry, I'm petting my dog with my foot over here while I'm talking to you guys. I know it's been talked about enough, and it's more and more of a concern the closer we come to an election, and the more belligerent that our government is, more blatant they are about a lot of their pretty absurd mentalities. And even if it's not on a federal level, there are a lot of states that have some very, very interesting legislation and ideas and concepts that they uphold for the name of history or because, you know, modern ideology. Again, I have to be very generic in what I say, but you can just do a quick Google search, or maybe you even live in some of these occupied territories like I do myself here in Illinois. And it's pretty obvious that your government doesn't listen to you. It doesn't. The people that you elect are no longer for the people. And I don't think it's been much of a stretch that this has been a chronic problem for about 60, 70 years or so. There's a presidential candidate, and I don't really subscribe to politicians, but I do subscribe to the Sean Ryan Show because I feel he's a phenomenal host. His production quality is stellar, and may or may not be a dream of mine to eventually be up on there. Just throwing it out there. Just, in case Sean Ryan ever happens to see this. But in all seriousness, he had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on, and the name Kennedy, that right there should already be a wake up alert to a lot of people through our history. Two men in politics. One, the leader of our country, was assassinated. And there were documents that were left completely unviewable for a long time. And now only bits and pieces of that is accessible. So this has been a chronic problem since our parents have been alive, if you're in my demographic of mid-millennial. That's scary, right? So with all this, tying it back to my beginning, what can one man do? Well, one man can have an ideology. One man can light a spark, and that spark can spread to other men. Other men can develop that philosophy, that mentality, foster it, enact it, and soon the concept of one man becomes one people, one country, one world. You know, I don't think man as a species has the capacity to truly work together for something as glorious as, say, like a one united world. And I do not mean a one world government. I'll clarify that for everyone. I believe in a world without borders, not a one world government. And basically, what that would mean is that people can travel to and from wherever they want. They can live wherever they want. You know, if you want to have places like fucking Portland, Oregon that legalize drugs, cool. Yeah, send all the people who like to do drugs. They go there and they can just go ahead and fuck up their entire economy just like they, basically have. If you have a certain religious group of people, there's a lot of Mormons who live in Utah. So all the Mormons want to live in Utah, fucking boom, bring them down there. All the Native American tribes, they want to start reclaiming some of the land that they fucking got taken from them. Rise up, have a unity, and fucking, take half of the Midwest or something. I don't fucking know. The point is, I do think humanity can work together for something close to it. But it's going to take a long time. And unfortunately, when we look at history, humanity has really chosen only one way to do it. And that's with violence. Look at some of the conquerors of our time. And I say our time as as a species. We have Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, Napoleon. We have some less stellar examples of people trying to hold control for the wrong ideological reasons. But they do happen. They happen every couple of centuries. They happen hard, they happen fast, and I mean, it just is what it is. We've not seen something like that since the late 30s into the 40s. And I don't blame humanity for not wanting to have that mentality of conquest. But that is because of the party and group that enacted it. Hundreds of years ago, it shaped history primarily for the better. As we, are still alive as a species today, one could argue we have flourished because of these things. That all started with one man and his idea. And he sparked that idea into a group of men. Those men followed him. We don't even need to use purely violent conflict. We can also use religious examples. I know a lot of people today, especially in my age demographic, have very recently started I call it the getting older path of being more open to religion. And I don't think one way or another, a religion is superior, but I do feel now, after years of therapy, psychedelic recreation, and therapeutically, I do see that there is something above. I don't know what, I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know why. But I do know that it exists. So if you choose to call him God or any other variation, awesome, cool. I think it's important to have something like that. Be spiritually minded, if not religious. But most religions have some sort of prophet or Messiah, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, Buddha. They have a singular individual that either created the mentality, fostered the mentality, or helped spread the word of that mentality. So when we sit here and we look at Our president, once again, saying that if you're ever going to try to keep us in line, you're going to need F 15s. Mr. President, I just need one shot. Keep that in mind. All right? And you can interpret that however you'd like. But the point is, people separated cannot flourish. Our civilization has spent millions and millions of years being tight little groups that have expanded out too far. And I think a lot of the problems that people have today is a lack of community, a lack of trust, and it's because there's no leaders. The people we elect are not leaders. These are people with an agenda who are trying to herd us into something. If I feel capable as a person, I would like to take a role that would allow the better development of, on the small scale, my local community, my state, my country, eventually the world. You know, I am just one man, but I'm one man with an idea, one man with a concept, a clandestine carry concept. But, like I said, it doesn't always have to be a violent call to action. It could be peaceful. Do I personally think, with the upcoming election, that we are going to be in a peaceful time, or that we can use peaceful planning to prevent what's coming? I don't. And I think a lot of you don't either. And it's so frustrating because we have really no choice but to believe in our elected officials. And I think there's something to be said that we have so much restrictions and requirements on basic things, and then we're so casual and lax when it comes to something like an election that you can just mail in vote and not even verify who that person is. That there are still, in 2020, when the most recent election happened, areas that don't even have all of the people who you can vote for on a ballot, that force you to think a certain way and vote a certain way that you may or may not want to do. That's quite a lot of freedom you've just removed from a person. Well, I look at what was going on during that time period. You know, we had the plandemic. We had a lot of social unrest. You know, I think there's a reason why people are so undisciplined today, and why, you know, there's the whole rise of the alphabet soup, and, you know, there's even more worse racism than there was, 10, 20 years ago. I think it's because people are so fucking angry that they literally lose their shit and just don't know how to act. And I'm guilty of it. I have done some incredibly dumb things due to just being so pissed off. In fact, I've basically ruined my life from doing that. And it's why I'm here where I'm at today, and could be in a better position, could be happier overall, mentally, physically, But we take responsibility for our actions. That's the difference. And that's where I want to tie it all together. If you feel too afraid to do something positive for your community, you got to dig deep. You got to find one small thing, one core concept that you can truly believe in. And you got to be that one man. And you got to start slow. You got to start small. And you got to take some of the tips I've been saying in some of my other videos about how to approach it, who to approach with it, and how to explain it. And you got to spread that fire. But it's a spark, man. You are starting a spark. And if you don't maintain the flame, no one's going to come to your fire. The fire's not going to spread. Your message is going to get lost, and you're going to be turned into a terrorist. You're going to get knocked by the ATF, and you're going to be an obituary on your local newspaper. There are plenty of law-abiding citizens who have been martyrs over the years, and we've just not opened our eyes to what they died for and potentially what their messages could have been. Don't get it twisted. I am not advocating you to do anything that you feel uncomfortable or is blatantly illegal. All right. We have written in our Constitution, written in our amendments, to remove tyranny in any way, shape, or form. I am putting out this video before the election happens because I want people to wake up and realize the resources that they have and to use them as appropriately as possible before an outcome happens and this country is left in a worse position than it's ever been. We have this government that's planning something. This most recent House legislation, for example, that's okay. Maybe it is just to make it an easier process for all males from 18 to 26 to get signed up for the selective draft. And maybe it's a little weird that they're going to be drafting women too. But you know what that's really for? I've made a short on this, but I'm going to tell you right now what that's really for. It's really for veterans who have children who have spent the last 20 years in a constant state of unnecessary warfare for an unjustified cause to now feel a choice. Do I let my children die for a country that betrayed me? Or do I re-enlist so my children stay home safe? And then they potentially grow up without their father or mother because they died in the name of conquest for this country. Because that's what this is. This is a winner-take-all situation. When Russia and China, or just China, go against America, this is winner-take-all. We are either going to be communist, socialist, or democratic for the rest of our life. Democratic. And to be honest, if I was in a position of power and authority, I would also be prepping my constituents to be ready for war at a moment's notice. If you really look at what's been going on within the last 10 years, we got a lot more gun tubers, we got a lot more prep channels, we got a lot more access to things. You know, our firearm legislations, for example, have Supreme Court's finally been doing their job and allowing firearm access more and more. Even if states are trying to, put up the charade of, no, we don't want guns, we don't like guns. Shut the fuck up, dude. When people are on this goddamn country trying to take our land, you want us to have fucking guns. And you know it. It's just a show, man. It's all a show. Politics has become a fucking reality show from the early 2000s, and we are just so fucking blind to the concept. So I know I've said a lot. I've definitely said things that are going to put me on some lists. That's okay. I'm already on several anyway. I'm not joking when I say that. So let's recap it. We still have a chance to make things better for ourselves. We don't need to do the things that our founding fathers put into our Constitution to make sure we have the right to do. But we are getting close to a point where that's no longer an option, and we're going to have to do this violently. One man with an idea can spark motivation and drive in others around him. You don't need to be a leader. You don't need to be Patton. You don't need to be Alexander the Great. You can just be invested in your community. I don't want war on my streets. I don't even know the names of most of my neighbors, but I know they have kids. And I mean kids, 5, 6, 7 years old. I don't want them to have to fight to defend their little piece of fucking land, and then those children have to grow up by themselves. I don't want people in my area to be hungry because their supply lines are down. I don't want to see people who know each other, who love each other, tear each other apart for fucking toilet paper at a goddamn Walmart. I don't want that. But I'm telling you, if you don't shoulder the burden of being that one man, take your ideology, spark that motivation in men, and try to build something better, local, we're going to lose it all. And I've never felt more sure of that than in the last couple of months. I'm going to lay down another anecdote and close it. If you're a veteran suffering from post-traumatic stress, I highly recommend psychedelic therapy. When I worked at my VA, we had trialed it for a little bit. I had taken psychedelics when I was a kid, and I didn't have good trips, so I would not have recommended it or wanted to do it. But I saw such a huge amount of success, and you can go ahead and you can Google these and you can see ketamine infusions, psilocybin treatments. There's even something called TMS. And when I was going through my divorce and I lived alone and I was seconds away from blowing my brains out daily, I took psychedelics, and it awakened in me a spirit and motivation that I truly thought I was not capable of. That's why I make these videos. You may find that I have other YouTube channels and I do other things, talk about other stuff. These are all just extensions of the same core being. This is what I believe, and this is a network to show it, and then some other stuff that I do. It's still me, it's still what I believe, but these are other things that I talk about because they're relevant to other things. So when I was doing these trips, I saw a possibility of something grander. And it was peaceful. It was harmonious. It was almost like going home. Like, I guess what people would envision heaven is like. We're so close to being capable of that. But yet we're so far. And I'm telling you, man, I've seen it. I've seen it in my dreams. We can be united. We can be happy. We can be prosperous. But there's just so much obstruction in the way. So we gotta work at it. I found nothing in life that is worth it is easy. Everything that I've sacrificed for has led me to become the better person I am today, in the role that I am today, and I can't say that I'm happier than I would be if I would have gotten the things that I wanted and I'd be where I'd actually want to be. But I can tell you that I'm a better person, I'm capable of more, and I've grown so much that the happiness that I achieve now means that much more to me. So that's the imparting wisdom I will leave on you guys. Hopefully, the closer we get to the election, the more true patriots who care for not just their well being of their local community, but the country that they reside in will ask the hard questions to our politicians, will utilize the proper, effective channels of communication. And if we don't, we know what's coming. You've taken your ideology and you've spread it to your local community. You've prepared them for what needs to come. And we do what we need to do to survive. If you sat through this, I feel you're probably one of the few people on the planet who truly gets what I'm talking about. And I hope that you are that one man. Because I'm trying to be it. And maybe when a bunch of individuals have the same concept and work together and we spread that fire across the globe, maybe that's how we can make a difference. Stay tuned, stay safe.